Have you ever wondered if you're crazy? This may seem like a lighthearted question, but it's a serious exploration into the realm of mental health. Today, we're uncovering 10 signs that might indicate mental imbalance. So, are you ready to take a deep dive into your psyche? Sign number 1, unstable relationships. Often, a pattern of unstable relationships can serve as a red flag for emotional instability. This could look like a series of brief, yet intensely passionate relationships that end abruptly, leaving a trail of confusion and hurt feelings in their wake. It's not about having a perfect track record in love or friendship. After all, every one of us has had relationships that didn't work out. But when there's a consistent pattern of relationships crashing and burning, it may point to deeper issues. These relationships may be fueled by an intense emotional connection that feels intoxicating at first, but quickly becomes overwhelming and unsustainable. The highs are sky high and the lows are devastatingly low, and when the dust settles, there's often a sense of emptiness, a void that was once filled by the intensity of the relationship. This cycle repeats itself, creating a pattern of instability that can be emotionally draining and damaging. Unstable relationships, a sign worth reflecting upon. Moving on to sign number 2, impulsive behavior. Now, we all make spontaneous decisions from time to time, but when impulsivity becomes a pattern, it's a whole different ballgame. We're talking about reckless actions carried out in the heat of the moment without any consideration for the consequences. Imagine someone who frequently engages in dangerous driving, not out of a lack of skill, but simply because they're driven by an overwhelming urge for excitement. Or consider a person who regularly succumbs to binge eating, not because they're particularly hungry, but because they're trying to fill an emotional void. These are just a couple of examples of how impulsive behavior can manifest. It's like a roller coaster ride, thrilling at first but potentially destructive in the long run. And it's not just harmful to the individual, it can also wreak havoc on their relationships and overall quality of life. Impulsive behavior, another sign that could raise a red flag. Sign number 3, unpredictable mood swings. Now, let's dive into this. Rapid, unpredictable mood swings are more than just being happy one minute and sad the next. It's about experiencing intense emotions that fluctuate drastically, often without any noticeable triggers. Think about a pendulum swinging back and forth. It's that kind of unpredictability we're talking about. One moment you could be on cloud 9, feeling invincible, and the next, you're at rock bottom, feeling like everything is falling apart. It's as if you're on an emotional roller coaster and you're not in the driver's seat. This kind of emotional instability can be exhausting, not just for the person experiencing it, but also for those around them. It's like constantly walking on eggshells, never knowing what emotional state will surface next. Keep in mind, however, that everyone has mood swings from time to time. It's the frequency and intensity that we need to pay attention to. Unpredictable mood swings, something to watch out for. Sign number 4, chronic feelings of emptiness. Picture this. You're in a room full of joyous people, the atmosphere is lively, yet you feel an inexplicable void, an unshakable sense of hollowness. This is not just about feeling lonely or bored on a rainy afternoon. We're talking about a profound, persistent sense of emptiness that seems to pervade every aspect of your life. Such feelings can often lead to a lack of motivation, a sense of purposelessness, and a feeling that life lacks meaning. It's like being adrift on an ocean with no land in sight. This persistent emptiness can be a sign of mental instability, though it's important to remember that it can also be a symptom of other conditions, such as depression. So, if you find yourself constantly feeling empty, with an internal void that just can't seem to be filled, it's crucial to seek professional help. Chronic feelings of emptiness, a sign that should not be ignored. Halfway there with sign number 5, suicidal thoughts or behaviors. This sign is a harsh reality for many, and it's not to be taken lightly. When someone's mental state reaches a point where they contemplate ending their own life, it's a glaring sign of severe mental distress. These thoughts or behaviors can manifest in various ways, such as voicing a desire to die, researching methods of suicide, or making actual plans to commit suicide. It's important to understand that these feelings are not a sign of weakness or a character flaw. They're a symptom of profound suffering that can be attributed to a number of factors, including untreated mental health conditions. It's also crucial to remember that help is available. If you or someone you know is experiencing suicidal thoughts or behaviors, it's absolutely vital to seek professional help immediately. Suicidal thoughts or behaviors, an extremely serious sign that calls for immediate help. Moving on to sign number 6, uncontrollable anger. This is not just about the occasional burst of temper, but rather frequent, intense anger that seems disproportionate to the situation at hand. It's the kind of anger that erupts like a volcano, often without warning, leaving a trail of emotional destruction in its wake. This could manifest as frequent arguments with loved ones, road rage incidents, or even physical fights. It's not just about losing your cool, it's about losing control. And when this happens regularly, it can be a clear sign of emotional instability. You see, anger is a normal and even healthy emotion, but when it's uncontrollable, it can become destructive. It can lead to problems at work, in your personal relationships, and in the overall quality of your life. Moreover, uncontrollable anger can also have physical consequences, contributing to issues like high blood pressure, heart problems, and weakened immunity. Uncontrollable anger, a sign that requires immediate attention. Sign number 7, paranoia or dissociation. Paranoia is a state of mind where you experience irrational suspicions or mistrust of others. You may feel like you're constantly under threat or that people are out to get you, even when there's no concrete evidence to support these beliefs. Dissociation, on the other hand, is a psychological experience where you feel disconnected or detached from reality. You may feel as if you're observing your life from an outside perspective, like you're in a dream or a movie. Both paranoia and dissociation can be signs of mental instability, as they disrupt your ability to interact normally with the world around you. These experiences can be scary and confusing, and they can make it difficult to maintain healthy relationships or hold down a job. If you're frequently experiencing feelings of paranoia or episodes of dissociation, it's important to seek help from a mental health professional. Paranoia or dissociation, another sign that could be a cause for concern. Sign number 8, self-damaging behavior. The human mind is a fascinating entity, capable of immense resilience but also susceptible to self-destruction. This paradox is often seen in those who engage in self-damaging behavior, a clear sign of mental instability. These behaviors might include self-harm, substance abuse, or reckless endangerment, actions that harm the individual physically, emotionally, or socially. Self-harm, for instance, is often a cry for help, a physical manifestation of internal turmoil. Substance abuse, on the other hand, is a form of escapism, a way to numb the pain or distract from distressing thoughts. Reckless endangerment, such as reckless driving or risky sexual behavior, can also be a sign of a need for thrill or a disregard for personal safety. These behaviors are not solutions, but symptoms of a deeper issue. They are desperate attempts to cope, to gain control, or to feel something amidst the numbing emptiness. Self-damaging behavior, a sign that screams for help. Almost there with sign number 9, extreme fear of abandonment. This is more than just an occasional worry about being left alone. It's an intense, consuming fear that can disrupt your everyday life. What we're talking about here is an overpowering apprehension, a dread that people close to you will desert you, leaving you isolated. This kind of fear can be so intense that it leads to desperate actions to avoid perceived abandonment. It could manifest in clinging behaviors, constantly seeking reassurance, or even sabotaging relationships to avoid the pain of potential loss. This isn't about being overly attached or just needy. It's about a paralyzing fear that controls your thoughts and actions. Remember, everyone feels scared of losing loved ones at some point, but when this fear becomes an overwhelming and constant presence, it could be a sign of emotional instability. It's essential to seek professional help to manage these feelings and regain control of your life. Extreme fear of abandonment, another sign that should not be overlooked. And finally, sign number 10, distorted self-image. Our self-image is the mental picture we have of ourselves, a blend of our physical attributes, beliefs, and feelings. When this self-image gets distorted, we may start seeing ourselves as worthless or fundamentally flawed. This is not about occasional self-doubt or criticism. It's about a deep-rooted belief that you are less than others, unworthy of love, respect, or success. This distorted self-image often leads to self-sabotaging behaviors, reinforcing the negative beliefs we hold about ourselves. It's a vicious cycle that can be challenging to break. But it's essential to remember, it's not reality, but a distorted perception of reality. Distorted self-image, the final sign that calls for introspection. So, there you have it, the 10 signs that you might be crazy. We kicked things off by discussing unstable relationships, then moved on to impulsive behavior. We touched on unpredictable mood swings and chronic feelings of emptiness, both of which can be quite unsettling. Suicidal thoughts or behaviors were our next point of focus, followed by uncontrollable anger. We also delved into paranoia or dissociation, self-damaging behavior, and extreme fear of abandonment. Lastly, we explored the concept of a distorted self-image, Now, it's important to note that these signs aren't a definitive diagnosis. They're simply indicators that something might be off. And if you find yourself nodding along to these signs, it doesn't mean you're crazy, it means that you might be struggling, and that's okay. What's crucial is not to ignore these signs. Reach out to a mental health professional who can provide guidance and support. Remember, acknowledging the problem is the first step towards healing. Seek professional help if you recognize these signs within you.